All right, welcome back to the Independent Seaport Museum. We're here in the Seaport Boat Shop, and we're gonna revisit the Durham boat project that we've been working on. Last time we talked, we were steam bending our frames and getting them in place, and we're just about done with that, sneaking up on the tail end. So you can see the white oak timbers that we've bent, and we've situated all along the length of the boat. We have a couple final steps there, tying them together and making them in their final resting place. And then we can start to turn to some of our other framing. One of the big key components that we want to talk about today is our stem. This boat is a double-ended boat, which means it has two stems, one here at the bow, which we have our pattern sitting in place for, and then we also have one all the way down at the other end, and those are the two components that act as the backbone and create the spine of the boat to make it nice and strong and sturdy. So why don't we take a closer look at how those get put together. So there's a couple of ways that stems can be put together. We have a really great example of one of the most common in traditional boat building. We have this three-piece stem, basically a mock-up, an example for people to get a good understanding of how these get fit together. And it may look funny that it's made out of three pieces. That's intentional, and it's not a mistake that we're trying to fix. We do that so that we can control how the grain flows through the piece. When the wood has to make such a sharp curve around this bend, often it's easier to piece together three pieces so that the grain never runs out the face or surface of the stem, and that just makes it a stronger joint, makes for a stronger stem, and avoids any cracking or splitting. So we've got three pieces to our stem. We have the stem itself, we have the stem knee, which is the triangle shape in the middle, and then we have the forefoot, which is this back piece here with the notch in it that will tie into the keel itself. For us in the Durham boat, our stem is a little bit bigger, and laid out here on the table I have a pattern of that and our three pieces that we'll be working with. This is our aft stem, or our stern post, and we have those same three pieces. So you can see what would be the forefoot here in this nice long piece. We have our stem knee here, that triangle, and then we have the stern post itself for the back of the boat, and the stem, this piece would be called on the bow, this piece would be called the stem. And these three pieces will get arranged on our lumber, cut out, slid together to make a nice tight fit, and then we'll get fastened through with bolts along the way to make it a nice strong joint. So very similar and almost identical to what you saw in our example, just at a bigger scale. So our next steps, now that we have our pattern cut out and made and ready to go, we will start to look at our timbers that we have and find the piece that will fit best. So when we're looking for a good timber, it obviously needs to be the right dimension. Our stem calls for a 3.5 inch thick stem. So we have lumber to that size. And then we look for nice grain that runs as straight as possible without any knots or sapwood. And then it obviously also needs to be wide enough to fit our pattern on. So I pulled out a piece here that will hopefully be a good fit for us. I can grab our stern post and we'll see how that slides into place. Fits right within our piece of wood, and you can see that all our grain follows right straight along the pattern itself. So our next steps will be to trace this and get it cut out, and we'll start to assemble and get it into place on the boat.